coronavirus is, COVID-2 is SARS. Okay, COVID-19 is this coronavirus. Basically, 2002 was SARS and 2019. So every year there's a number. Okay, so we live with this for already 20 years. The biggest change in impact is really global climate change. The ocean temperature up one degree, and especially 2019, we have the huge fires everywhere. Australia, the Indonesia, and Amazon was great big one. See, so all this the CO2 historical level. On top of that, IMO 2020, which is very simply basically the oil industry used to use the diesel in Europe, but they force shipping companies to clean the sulfur. So they ordered shipping industry to dump directly to the ocean. This was unbelievable experiment in the human life. And as a leader of the shipping industry, I was always against it. If you look very carefully, this timing of big change happened since 2019, third quarter, and every day today, about 1/3 of world fleet, especially large ships, installed a scrubber, and they quietly dump in the public sea together with the ballast water treatment. Can you imagine? Ship is mixing the water, dumping the same time, put the sulfur in this mixture. This is causing the chemical reactions. What we don't know, because 71% of oceans of our globe, we don't have any actually detailed research. But from the environment point of view, to identify the COVID-19 is one way. Another way is what world is doing is how to kill by vaccine, which take 18 months or whatever reasons, plus the next year COVID-20 may change its its character again. So this is the chasing game every year happen in science. So from the environment point of view, if we can possibly and discover if it really came from the ocean, if we stop it, we can mitigate the original source possibility, which is big the research should be done. But from the evidences and phenomena of last 100 days, it became very clear that this is hotspot and where it came from and the characteristic of this coronavirus in the past. So we actually work with scientists in Taiwan who is not joined the WHO, so they were not able to give the WHO their expertise. But Taiwan was the #1 country suffered the SARS in 2002, and they have the expert database to analyze it for over 18 years. That's why only single-digit number of people die with 23 million people. Today, the news said Sweden has already more than many people with only 10 million people. So the key is what is the characteristic, and my discovery by the environment source. It's like a Sherlock Holmes and Mr. Watson find where it came from. Conclusion, 90% was correct and matched with the database with the scientists in Taiwan. Unfortunately, the WHO political issue, the world missed it. But I'm not a politician. I don't care. This is a global things. This cause was from the natural origin. And if you look, Wuhan is the river flow from the Himalayas, and the fish came. It's not the animal. So, and also Bergamo, Italy, is just under the Alps. And the lakes, look at the France, your side of is little, but the other side of Pyrenees actually came from Amazon and the jet stream. It's frozen in the top of the mountain and slowly fell down. And that's why Basque and Madrid has a lot of lakes. Also, same thing. If you look at the UK, it's very, very interesting because UK in Midland, there's the huge flood. And actually, if you look at the geography of the Great Britain, especially England and Wales, there are a lot of canals and there are the lakes so that it can stay. In other words, there's a certain hotspot that coronavirus survived, and together with the hydrocarbon. So hydrocarbon in the ocean, there are a lot of microplastics. I'm not going to tell to the world that microplastic and mitochondria to make CO2 to all the pump, all related. But it sounds like it has to spend a lot of money to do this survey and find out this is the origin. The biggest two reasons may be possible is one, when coronavirus or COVID-19, we have a certain type of people cluster infected of, but they have no notice, and their certain cluster get serious, and their potential cluster die. It looks like 80% never get sick, and 20% has more risk. And if you look this cluster and analyze it, it's clearly different type of the bodies, and we found out how to solve it. The treatment has to be done earlier, not waiting until the last moment to go to the hospital because it's more risky. But since it's a big difference of how experienced in the last 120 days already. So the conclusion is, what is the symptom? It came from the nose, mouth, smells not good. Basically, it's a sulfur-related issue, damage our cell. So this is a respiratory issue, and this comes from SO2. So I would say CO2 was used to be now about 410 or 420 ppm, which is much higher. But thinking about 100,000 tons a month of sulfur dumped in the ocean by the shipping industry, plus airplane industry, until the 2018 or early 2019, it was the combustion go to the air directly. But if you dump to the ocean directly with 100,000 tons a month, especially before arriving the serious places such as America, such as Europe, I bet the shipping crews quietly dump before arriving. I asked this investigation, but none of them are interested, but I think it's really the case. Now, China is prohibited the scrubber, but this is only allowed to the prohibited within the territory of the 200 miles. So in the public ocean, if you throw it, nobody can watch it, nobody can survey it. So we need to have surveying system, spend more money, and I'm happy to people help us to conduct this search, and immediately we have to stop the IMO 2020 and the ballast treatment, because ballast treatment has many ways. Also, we have feeding the cows or chickens. We threw out the huge steroid in the ocean in the past many decades, and we don't know how all this chemical reaction in the ocean happening. And so we have to go back organic ways, and we have to stop anything we change the environment. I think this is the very important. Now, I put in my Twitter, simply said, it's going to be 2020 experience. Actually, we are now, 2050 net zero experience. Actually, 3 billion people stopped working for a month. It was the very expensive experiment, understand what the 2050 net zero look like. So because there are two possibilities. One is we stop the economic activities, so the pollution went down. That's why we manage it. And also what the social distance and the staying home, basically it's only mitigates secondary infections. So unless, like myself, to speak up to the world, let's look at the cause. Nobody, or I'm sure there are a lot of people now talk about pollutants, and the London drivers, there's more. It's not the inequality of the cluster, but it tends to be like that because the body is different. It doesn't mean there's a discrimination, but if we know the real reasons, we can help them to convert their the environment not to be easy to be affected by the COVID-19. So this is very, very interesting topics, and I want to raise because this is the discovery by understanding shipping and by understanding what happened in the damage directly through the sulfur. So if you go to the next step of how this respiratory damage our lung, because once you come in our lung, some part is going to be damaged. So it actually, there are a lot of people, when the lung damaged, you have problem because you cannot have you absorb the CO2 and you create the O2 in your lung. The same thing like happened in the mitochondria in the ocean, and you lost your balance, and that's why some people can survive. Of course, this is a very simple logical reasons, but this is out box of the solutions, and we should take a look at it. And this is my the therapist, and I was always against this ballast water treatment, and also I was always against this dumping the sulfur in the ocean. And if you calculate it, 100,000 tons means 100 million kilograms. It's a big amount every month, and it's only 1/3 of feed. So because of these price differences, industry say, oh, I want you and dump it. This is not correct. And you as one of the leader in the media, you have to take a responsibility to tell the people if you agree with my opinion. That's why I give you exclusivity.